I had never been so afraid. Darkness surrounded me like a heavy blanket, and I felt like a prisoner of the earth. I didn't know what to do, where to go, or how to escape this situation. I finally decided to sit down against a rock wall, my ears open, ready to pick up the slightest noise. A long time passed, perhaps it was just minutes, perhaps hours. It was impossible to know. I could only tell that at some point I seemed to hear the pitter patter of paw steps coming from somewhere in the distance. I leaped to my feet and shouted with all the air in my lungs. I'm here. Help me. I heard a faint voice echo. Axel? Was it just a dream? It didn't matter. I knew which way to go. I rushed towards the sound, groping my way through the darkness. Hope had filled me with energy. The voice rang out again. Axel. It was even closer now. I belted out. I'm here. I started to run, but I shouldn't have. It was too dark to see. Soon I smacked my snout right into a rock. Youch! I fell backward and lost consciousness. When I came to, there was a familiar snout leaning over me. Glasses, sideburns, eyebrows as thick as a brush. It was my uncle. I murmured, Uncle, where am I? He helped me sit up and said, You took a good fall. My young mouse, why were you running in the dark? I remembered calling out in the darkness. The fear that no one would hear me, the strong need to find my uncle and Hans. I confess, I just didn't want to be lost anymore. Hans, who was nearby, gave me a little pat of encouragement. Now you've been found. As usual, his simple way of speaking calmed me down. It was only then I noticed a strange silver light shining behind my uncle. I whispered, Where is that light coming from? My uncle shook his snout. You'll find out later, my ratlet. Now you must rest for a few hours. You took a good hit to the head and must regain your energy for the great journey that awaits us. I wanted to ask for an explanation, but I felt so tired I closed my eyes and fell right asleep. Later I woke to a muffled sound in my ears. It seemed like a kind of splashing, as though I was at the foot of a large fountain, or on the beach, by the waves. Waves? I shook my snout. Maybe the effects of the blow to the head hadn't passed yet. I rubbed my eyes and looked around. I was in a huge cavern I haven't seen before, which was covered in silvery minerals. I heard the screams of my uncle's hands in the distance. So I got up and my jaw dropped in surprise. Cheese niblets. Before me was a huge body of water, a real sea, complete with waves and foam. The water was silvery like the cave, and seemed to stretch on endlessly. A light mist hovered atop the waves. These vapors were full of electricity and produced small bursts of light. My uncle smiled at me. You're awake, my young mouse. You look much better. I pointed to the water. That's, my uncle interrupted. The Lindenbrock Sea. Beautiful, isn't it? Yes, I've named it after myself. The shore was full of tall, tapered stalagmites, and the ground was covered in sand. If someone had told me about this place, I wouldn't have believed them. There was an underground ocean mouse below the surface of the earth. This expedition was full of extraordinary surprises. Since the sea now had a name, I wanted to give one of the cavern's beach as well. It was so beautiful I named it Port Grouben.